Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. The Las Vegas games, I went 1-1. Let's see how I go for the rest of round 1, 2024. Let's kick things off. After the success of Las Vegas, let's see how the rest of round 1 fares, and it should be a sellout at McDonald Jones Stadium this Thursday night, 7 p.m. kickoff for Queenslanders, 8 p.m. approximately for New South Wales. It is a rematch of arguably last year's best match from the elimination final in week 1, the Newcastle Knights versus the Canberra Raiders. And all these odds this weekend are brought to you by Sportsbet. Knights are $1.43. The Canberra Raiders are $2.83. Going into the team lists, Ponga, Tuala, Marju, they are the back three. Gagai and Best, they are the centres. Gamble and Hastings are the halves. Saifidi, Jacob that is, Leo Thompson, and Phoenix Crossland are the front three. The back row is Frizzell, Lucas, and Elliott. Well done to Mr. Lucas on that front. Interchange, Jack Cogger, Daniel Saifidi, Jack Hetherington, and Kai Pearce-Paul makes his NRL debut in jersey 17. That's a really, really big inclusion. And Jed Cartwright is jersey number 18. For the Canberra Raiders, Rapana is at fullback, and his back duo are Kotrick and Xavier Savage. The centres, Albert Hopewati and Matt Timoko. Really nice to see Albert Hopewati in the starting lineup. I thought he had been really solid for the past 18 months, and I do think he deserves a starting 1-17 spot. Ethan Strange is the 5'8". Jamal Fogarty is the halfback. Be interesting to see how Fogarty goes since he didn't play any trials. The forward pack, Josh Papali'i, Danny Levi, and Joseph Tarpanay in jersey number 10. That is just about the best blockbuster duo in the competition, next to James Fisher-Harris and Leota. Back row, Hudson Young, Zach Hosking, and Morgan Smithies. He, another English import. So this game has 2 English imports, one playing in jersey 17, the other one playing with jersey 13 on his back. There is no Elliott Whitehead. I repeat, there is no Elliott Whitehead named in this 1-17. So the rest of the interchange is Starling, Gula, Adam Moriota, and Pasami Solo in jersey 17, with KO Weeks in jersey number 18. Fascinating Canberra Raiders team list there. Ethan Strange, congratulations to him. He did look super solid in the trials, didn't he? Hopewati, good to see him in the centres. Zach Hosking has fast laned his way into a second row spot, and no sign of Elliott Whitehead. I apologise, I'm not too sure. I'll just scroll down here and see if there's any word on where Elliott Whitehead is. He copped a calf injury by the looks of things. So reading in, Elliott Whitehead is going to miss at least 3 weeks, up to a month. That's probably why Zach Hosking is in the side, and Corey Horsburgh is still also suspended as well. So Canberra Raiders aren't full strength, but it is a stronger side than what I was anticipating. Newcastle Knights, interesting that Jack Cogger has nabbed 14 as well. I guess they sort of had to in a way. They sort of had to just because Jaden Brayley, the poor bastard, did his hamstring a couple of weeks ago. Wow, I just got really excited for this game, and I think if you're going to tip the Canberra Raiders at $2.83, that's really nice value, man, because we just don't know what they're going to produce this year. Again, I reiterate, the Canberra Raiders are that side for me this year where I got no idea what's going to happen. If they get lucky and their young guns click like that, behind the forward pack that they've got, they could go places. They could go places. Not premiership, I don't think, but they could go places. This will be the 58th match in history between the Knights and the Raiders. It is currently 29-26 with 2 draws for the Canberra Raiders. They lead by a couple of victories. However, Newcastle Knights, they have won 3 in a row versus the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders, they last defeated Newcastle in 2022 when they won the home and away back-to-back matches in 2022. Greg Marzhew, if you're interested in Greg Marzhew, he has scored 4 tries in the past 3 games against the Canberra Raiders. So if you want to go for a cheeky anytime or first-time try scorer, Greg Marzhew. And congratulations to Tyson Gamble. He plays his 50th first grade game. Doesn't this smell like an ambush? This smells like an ambush from the Canberra Raiders. But I'm going to play it safe. I've been pretty confident that Newcastle will get the dub all off-season since the draw had been released. And this backline, minus obviously the loss of Dom Young for the Newcastle Knights, I do think he is going to be a big loss for the Newcastle Knights this year. But other than that, man, that's pretty much projected, besides Brayley and the departure of Dominic Young. I think there's one other player that I'm missing out there, but I am going to tip Newcastle Knights by 1-12, but reading that team list there from the Canberra Raiders, watch out. Friday Night Football returns with a huge doubleheader. The first game emanating from Go Media Stadium in Auckland, the Warriors versus the Sharks. On Sportsbet, the Warriors are $1.50, the Sharks are $2.62. This will be the 49th match between the Warriors and the Sharks, and it is the Sharks who lead 28-20. Going into the team list now for the Warriors first up, Tane Tauapiki is the fullback because CNK is out with an injury. I believe it is a hamstring, if not calf. The wingers for the Warriors are DWZ and Montoya. Interesting to see how DWZ goes, considering he didn't play any trials. And then the centres, Rocco Berry and RTS. RTS is huge for the Warriors. Luke Metcalf and Sean Johnson are the halves pairing. AFB, Mitch Barnett and Wade Egan is the front row. Jackson Ford, Kurt Capewell and Tohu Harris is the back row. If Jackson Ford can maintain his rage from what he started with in 2023, that is a very classy back row. That is maybe an underrated back row by the end of 2024. Really like it. The interchange is Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Bunty Afoa, and Dylan Walker with jersey 17. Omissions, Adam Pompey in jersey 18, and Tamari Martin and Jazz Tavanga in 20 and 21. Going into the Cronulla Sharks now, William Kennedy at fullback, Katoa and Mulatalo, the wingers, Ramian and Talakai, the centres, Trindle and Hines, the halves. So Hines was under an injury cloud, and good to see that he has been named. Oregon Korfusi, Royce Hunt, and Blake Brayley are the front row. Nikora, Wilton, and McInnes are the back row. The interchange, Dale Finucane comes off the bench. Williams, Rudolph, and Hazelton are the interchange as well, with Kyle Iro in a jersey number 18. So Braden Hamlin-Uele will miss this week and potentially next week as well. So that is an omission for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Interesting that Finucane is coming off the bench in jersey 14. Last year, the Warriors, they won 2 games against the Cronulla Sharks. And while the Sharks don't have a bad record at all at Go Media Stadium, they have actually not won at the venue since the year 2018. I'm really behind the New Zealand Warriors after what they produced in the preseason challenge. They were, in my opinion, the most impressive side throughout the preseason challenge. I imagine that they are going to maintain that rage, but it is going to be 1-12. This Cronulla Sutherland Sharks side are going to be desperate to shake off a soft underbelly tag that's been put on them over the past 12 months or so. And if they can go to Go Media Stadium and get a win, holy moly, man, that's huge for the Sharks season. But I think the Warriors, I've got them as grand finalists this year, And I think their road to the grand final starts with a W on Friday night. What a game. And the second game on Friday night, what another massive contest. The Melbourne Storm versus the Penrith Panthers down at Amy Park. Wow. On Sportsbet, the Panthers are $1.64. The Storm are $2.25. This will be the 45th match between the two in history, and it is the Storm that still have a commanding overall head-to-head record at 29-15. However, the Penrith Panthers, they have won 6 of 8 since the 2020 grand final against the Melbourne Storm. And the past 5 results have been decided by 13 plus, 4 of which Penrith Panthers have flogged the Storm. The other one, the Storm did win that game 13 plus. So they really do like bashing each other, these two teams. Going into the team list news now, going into the Melbourne Storm, the home side, Pappenhausen is at fullback, Warbrick and Coates the wingers, Remus Smith and Nick Meaney are the centres. Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes are the halves pairing. Cameron Munster was under an injury cloud. Still is, to be fair. He still could be a leg scratching. Watch this space. Tui Kamikamitha, Josh King and Harry Grant are the front row. Joe Chan, Katoa and Liero are the back row. Wishart, Welch, Lewis and McDonald, they are the interchange as well. No Nelson Asofa-Solomona. However, Suafa-Alongo has been named with jersey 22 on his back, but he is recovering from an injury himself. I don't know why Nelson Asofa-Solomona is not playing. That is a massive omission. I'm sorry to say, that is a massive omission. Going into the Penrith Panthers team list, Dylan Edwards is at fullback. Taruva, he too is under an injury cloud, but he's been named. Brian To'o, as well as the other winger. Isaac Tungo and young Taylor May makes his first NRL game for the first time in a year, maybe 18 months. Congratulations to him, young man. And Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary are the halves pairing. Leota, Luke Summerton and James Fisher-Harris are the front row. Luke Garner, Liam Martin and Isaiah Yeo are the back row. Tyrone Peachy, Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry and Matt Eisenhuth are the interchange, and Dane Laurie is in jersey number 18. Ryan Pappenhausen sits on 49 career NRL tries in first grade, needs one more to crack 50. You don't reckon he wouldn't mind cracking 50 this weekend, and I think he will. I'm going to go Ryan Pappenhausen as an anytime try scorer to hit 50. But also Xavier Coates is also sitting on 49 NRL tries. Do you go a bit cheeky and put in both Pappenhausen and Coates? I mean, Will Warbrick was very, very good for them last year, wasn't he? But I think I'll steer clear from Coates. Mind you, I think he's going to be leaping over the top of either Brian To'o or Sunia Taruva. I think it's Brian To'o, so there's a possibility actually that both Paps and Coates does score. I'm just thinking out loud at the moment, can you tell? Moses Leota, he plays his 150th first grade game this weekend, so congratulations to him. And Ivan Cleary, head coach, is looking for his 100th victory as Penrith Panthers coach. Wow, that'd be a great milestone for him. It'd also be a great milestone for Craig Bellamy to continue that incredible undefeated run since the year 2004-2003, where the Melbourne Storm have won 20 round 1 games in a row. It's been 20 years since they've lost a round 1 game. And I'm so sorry, Melbourne Storm fans, but that omission from Nelson Asofa-Solomona, holy crap, I wasn't anticipating him to not be named in the team list this weekend. That's a massive omission. We saw at times last year how incredibly graphic the Melbourne Storm can go from Gear 5 to Gear 3 sort of thing, with or without Nelson Asofa-Solomona. In saying that, I do think the Panthers are stinging from that World Club Challenge match, and I think the Melbourne Storm will suffer their first loss in round 1 for the first time in 20 years. I'm going to give the dub to the Penrith Panthers, just 1-12, though I think they're going to buck the trend of the past 5 games being decided by 13 plus. But I think this is going to be a pretty spicy, spiteful affair, though, between the Storm and the Panthers. Not saying that it's a rivalry, but gee whiz, there's some bad blood there. Speaking of rivalries and bad blood, one of the biggest, oldest, storied rivalries in the game writes another chapter into its book. The Parramatta Eels versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, the first game of Super Saturday in 2024. It emanates from CommBank Stadium. The Eels are $1.47, Bulldogs are $2.71. Kickoff is at 4:30 for Queensland, 5:30 for New South Wales. This will be the 155th match between the two, and it is the Bulldogs who have a narrow lead at 78-71, with 5 draws thrown in there as well. However, the Eels have dominated recently. They've won 3 in a row versus the Bulldogs. They've won 7 of 8 since the year 2020. Dylan Brown and Stephen Crichton, we'll get into the team lists in a second, but massive milestones for both of these gentlemen on either side of the fence. It is Dylan Brown and Stephen Crichton playing their 100th first grade game, respectfully, this weekend. So congratulations to both of those gentlemen. The past 6 games between the Eels and the Bulldogs have resulted in a scoreline beyond 13 plus. Could it be this weekend? I'll let you know my opinion in just a tick. Also, if you're interested in a try scorer, Will Penasini, he has scored 4 tries in 4 games versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and Mike Acevo has a just as good, if not a little bit better record. But obviously, Mike Acevo has been suspended for at least 3 weeks. So his replacement could be in for a bit of a juicy time, or he could be in for a bit of a hard time, because I think one of these 2 Super Saturday games, and we'll get into the second one obviously in a minute, but I think there's an upset brewing in one of these 2 games. Let's go into the team list news now for the Parramatta Eels. First of all, the home side. Gutherson, Simonsen and Russell are the back 3. Penasini and Harper are the centres. Brown and Moses are the halves. Campbell Gillard, Paulo and Lussick are the front row. Lane, Cartwright and Hopgood is the back row. Brendan Hands, Madison, Offahengawe and Tuolangi are the interchange, with Ofahiki Ogden with jersey 18 on his back for the Eels. Going into the Bulldogs, Blake Taaffe won the fullback spot. Wilson and Josh Adokar are the wingers. Jacob Carraz and Stephen Crichton are the centres. Matt Burton and Drew Hutchison are the halves pairing. I absolutely cheer Cameron Ciraldo for selecting Blake Wilson. I believe that there is an injury to one of the Bulldogs players that might be allowing Blake Wilson this opportunity. I think there is an injury, but he is such a gun. I so adore Blake Wilson's work, man. And I've got him as a breakout player this year as well. Jacob Carraz plays his first game this year. He didn't play any trial matches. Stephen Crichton bought into the Bulldogs to play fullback. He's on fullback money and he's playing in the centres. Same can be said for Valentine Holmes though, can't it? Let's go into the rest of the team list for the Bulldogs. Max King, Poasa Farmasili and Reed Marnie are the front row. Really nice work from Farmasili. Kikau, Preston and Jamin Salmon are the back row, and the interchange reads Mann, Samuel Hughes, Josh Curran and Curtis Morin with jersey 17, and Bronson Sherry just misses out with jersey 19 on his back, and Toby Sexton also there in jersey number 20. I do think there is an upset brewing here. I think the Bulldogs, they're gonna, obviously it's round 1, you don't know, like everyone's on level pegging. Yeah, that back line for the Parramatta Eels, besides the big 3 in Gutherson, Brown and Moses, that's a fantastic 3, but just that wing centre combinations, those 2 wing centre combinations, with all due respect, while I think they are talented and they do a job, going up against Wilson, Carraz, Crichton and Adokar, I don't know, man. I think the Dogs actually got them in that department, but I do think the Eagles have the better of it in the spine overall. Just Reed Marnie, looking for a big game from him. He obviously comes up against his old club again, so he's going to be chomping at the bit. Viliami Kikau as well. I think he is another player for the Bulldogs, maybe the player for the Bulldogs that would be looking for a big season. Not his fault last year that he got sideswiped by injury, but I'm going to go the Parramatta Eels. They are at home. I just think the Bulldogs, it's going to take them a while to iron out those creases, but I think they're going to be in this game up to their eyeballs. And to be honest with you, if they win, I'm not going to be surprised. I do like that back line. I think Drew Hutchison, unfortunately, while I like him and while he is a very solid player, I do think he is I'm not going to say weak link. I'm just going to say Drew Hutchison is the weird link in that back line. So he's beaten out Toby Sexton for that halfback spot. Interesting. But I am going to go the Parramatta Eels 1-12, but I am very weary about a Bulldogs ambush. And the second game on Super Saturday is from Cbus Super Stadium, the Gold Coast Titans versus the St. George Illawarra Dragons. The Titans are $1.52. The Dragons are $2.55. This will be the 30th match between the Titans and the Dragons, and it is St. George Illawarra that lead 18-11. The St. George Illawarra Dragons, however, they have not won at Cbus Super Stadium against the Gold Coast Titans since the year 2019. So they're encroaching 5 years since they last defeated the Titans on the Glitter Strip. Going into the team list news now, Keanu Kinney is at fullback due to an injury to Jaden Campbell. Khan Pereira and Philip Sami are the wingers. Kelly and Brimson are the centres. Foran and Boyd are the halves. The forward pack, Fodawaker, Randall and Fa'asuamaleaui. And then the back row is Khalees Haas, Beau Fermor and Keenan Palacia. Interchange, Sam Verrills, Isaac Liu, Erin Clark and Jamin Jolliffe. Interesting that Sam Verrills actually starts from the bench in jersey 14, and it is Chris Randall that starts in jersey 9. So maybe Chris Randall may have been selected to start to pump through the Dragons defensively, because we know that Randall is a super solid defender, and then maybe Sam Verrills comes on and just adds a little bit of quickness and really starts causing a little bit of drama and speed later on in the game. So maybe that's why Verrills is starting from the bench in jersey 14. David Fafita is another omission as well. He has succumbed to an injury. He will be missing out for the next 3 or so weeks, which is why Khalees Haas is starting with jersey 11. But it's fantastic to see Beau Fermor start in jersey 12. I cannot wait to see how he goes this weekend and for the rest of the year. Good luck to him. Going into the Dragons now, this will be fascinating. Tyrell Sloan is at fullback. Lomax and Ravalawa are the wingers. Sully and Bird are the centres. Flanagan and Hunt are the halves combination. And the forward pack reads Molo, Little and Lowry. And the back row is Tom Eisenhuth, Jaden Sewer and Jack DeBellin. The interchange in jersey 14, Connor Mulheisen will come off the bench, and Michael Molo, Viliami Fafita and Raymond Faitala Mariner with jersey 17 on his back. Ben Murdoch-Masila with jersey number 18 on his back as well. A couple of milestones in this game, AJ Brimson and Isaac Liu. AJ Brimson plays his 100th game of first grade. Isaac Liu plays his 250th first grade game. And this is a battle of a couple of old coaches that are returning to the NRL as well. Obviously, Des Hasler for the Gold Coast Titans and Shane Flanagan for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And credit to Shane Flanagan. I think in the preseason challenge, you can already see the effect that he's had on the Dragons. I do think that they are going to be made of sterner stuff. I really do. Even though Dragons lost about 6 or 7 games in a row there, or in total by only 6 points or less sort of thing. So they were already competitive in a sense last season. It did fall away, obviously, dramatically. But yeah, Dragons, man, this is a chance of an upset this weekend. Again, with the loss of Fafita and Jaden Campbell for the Gold Coast Titans, it really does bring the Titans back down a little bit, or Dragons up closer towards the Titans in my opinion. But I do think they're at home. The Titans, AJ Brimson and Isaac Liu celebrating special occasions, and while Shane Flanagan is a high profile spotlight coach going to the Dragons, I think Des Hasler to the Gold Coast Titans, there is a lot more riding on how they go. But I'm not going to be surprised if the Dragons win. They were I wouldn't say impressive, but they definitely look better from their efforts in the preseason challenge. But yeah, I'm going to go the Gold Coast Titans 1-12, but I'm a little bit iffy about it. Alrighty, let's look at the next. And the final game of a huge round one for 2024 emanates from Suncorp Stadium. The Dolphins versus the North Queensland Cowboys on Sportsbet. The Cowboys are $1.46. The Dolphins are $2.74. And the kickoff is at 3 o'clock for Queensland, 4 o'clock for New South Wales. Going into the team lists, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Ozako and Bostock are the back three. New and Farnworth are the centres. Nikorima and O'Sullivan are the halves pairing. Bromwich, Jesse Bromwich, Tom Flegler and Jeremy Marshall-King are the front row, and the back row is Kofusi, Lemuelu and Ray Stone. Josh Kerr, Plath, Kenny Bromwich and Mark Nichols round out the interchange bench, and Jared Wallace and Jake Avarillo have been omitted. Same too with Isaiah Katoa in the reserves list as well. Shifting into the North Queensland Cowboys now, and the fullback is obviously Scott Drinkwater. Felt and Taulagi are the wingers, so Felt has won that right edge spot. Holmes and Zach Laybutt are the centres. Congratulations to Zach Laybutt. You have the absolute world at your feet in 2024, man. Go and get it. The halves pairing, Tom Dearden and Chad Townsend. The forward pack, McLean, Taumalolo and Reece Robson. The back row, Lukey, Nanai and Cotter. The interchange is Granville, Neem, McIntyre and Fene Fuiaki, with Chester and McKaylee being omissions on the reserves list there. This will be the third match between the Dolphins and the Cowboys. It is 1-1, and the away team has won on both of those occasions, so that's a good stat for the Cowboys. And then Tessie New, he plays his 50th first grade game this weekend. Mark Nichols, he plays his 150th first grade game this weekend. There's really not too much to say, man. Go North Queensland Cowboys. They're going to win this game by 13 plus. Yo, that's it for me, guys. I hope you've really enjoyed this video or podcast, whether you watched or listened. Thank you very much for your continuous support. Enjoy the footy this weekend. I will be there in attendance at the Dolphins and Cowboys game. If you're going, come and say g'day. And yeah, go you Cowboys. I hope your team wins, except for the Dolphins. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios.